James, good morning. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
You know, I remember when they used to say stats were for losers. But now it's because we can get every stat we want. We get these all-time stats, what happened and when, and you used to have barroom conversations and just disagree. Now somebody pulls out their phone or their tablet and they have a fact and a stat.
Yeah, but the thing with these stats, it's just about the games themselves, so it's not about individuals. I think with individuals, you can sometimes look at Carson Wentz and say, boy, he had a great game, and somebody might look at the film and say, well, maybe he didn't, or Dak Prescott, or, the RG3. So I understand from an individual standpoint, but the fact that you've had these games so close, and you had a close one last night with the Patriots and the Cardinals, what were your expectations of the Patriots going into that game?
Well, the game as a whole, the expectation level for the Cardinals was through the roof. A high-scoring team, a lot of veterans, Carson Palmer, Larry Fitzgerald. And then you looked at the Patriots and you go, look at all the guys that didn't make the trip. Not like they were sending the junior varsity team, because their defense is great. They have Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator, so you knew that they would come up with something to kind of keep the game relatively close. What you didn't realize, Garoppolo would take the team down and score on the first drive. And he would have those moments during the game where you're going, boy, this kid is really good, really good.
Well, I think the third down completion percentage, that he was pretty impressive when he had to be. And these were long third downs that he had to complete. He was buying time in the pocket, and that last drive, that's big boy stuff there. I thought Garoppolo, out of all of the new quarterbacks, stood out because of what he did and where he did it against a team that people think could go to the Super Bowl.
Well, and they were able to pick on the correct people, whether it's the rookie corner, whether it's the strong safety who's trying to cover Julian Edelman in the slot. He executed exactly what the game plan masters wanted him to do. It wasn't like he went off script. This is where we have to get him. This is what we want to attack. Patrick Peterson, be careful throwing the ball over there. He's pretty good. Everybody else, free game.
Yeah, but you have a pass rush. You get Chandler Jones, Robert Kendiche. I mean, you're ready to go. I was really surprised and actually disappointed with what I saw with Arizona. I thought it would be a far more – and I know Belichick takes away what you love to do best, and that's throw it deep, but you still have Johnson, who's a very good running back. I thought the defense was going to be better than what it was.
I'm not sure if mid-season form, which is what we wanted the Arizona Cardinals to resume with, was anywhere close to that nature.
Yeah.
Carson Palmer was a little bit off. You're right. The coverage was a little bit off here. They had pressure in the second half. They were making plays on the Patriots side of the line of scrimmage, but they couldn't convert those into stops. They couldn't convert them really into turnovers. When they did score, it was off of short fields a couple of times early in the game.
Larry Fitzgerald last night, certainly that final drive looked like a Hall of Famer. Historically, how are we going to remember Larry Fitzgerald?
Well, the first impression that we have of him is in the Super Bowl. And when he was a young player and he's sprinting down the middle of the field, and when you watch him play, he took a couple of hits on crossing routes that made me want to go ice my knees. I mean, he's a big receiver, so he was hit right where he bends, right at the knee. And I'm thinking, he may not get up after this one. He pops up, gives the ball to the official, jogs back to the huddle. There is a beauty about watching him play. I've had a chance to go on some vacations with my wife to Europe, and you go see these wonderful sites, these historic sites. If you are a football purist, you want to enjoy watching Larry Fitzgerald play. I know somebody leaked that this might be his last year. That seems strange watching him play last night.
Is he the David or Mona Lisa?
He would be the David, where you would just stand there and you would just gaze at him.
Talking to James Lofton, Westwood One NFL analyst. He called the Patriots and the Cardinals last night. What stood out the rest of the NFL yesterday?
I think the thing that stood out for me, and you touched on it earlier, is that as I was flipping channels and watching games on the computer, I thought, okay, this game is in hand. And then you come back to it a couple minutes later, and the other team's ahead. So that drama that was in seems like every NFL stadium over the weekend was consistent. So here we waited through the draft, through the offseason, through the OTAs, through training camp, through a very boring preseason, and we got more than what we expected at the box office in week one so far this season.
If I said you could pick a quarterback 25 and under to start a team, and I gave you Bortles, Winston, Wentz, Mariota, Garoppolo, Derek Carr, Dak Prescott, who would you take?
Well, I had the chance to be around Jameis Winston when he was getting ready for the draft, and there's an electric personality around him. And the fact that he reformed his body, because he used to be a little chubby.
Yeah.
He reformed his body going into his second year. So there's a seriousness about his play. And so I like him. I also have tutored his two receivers, Vincent Jackson and Mike Evans. So there's a connection there. And I always like jumping on the bandwagon. So I'll jump on Jameis Winston's bandwagon.
I like Mike Evans. I mean, that's one of those where you just say, all right, I'm going to throw it up, and he'll come down with it.
Go get it.
Yeah. And Vincent Jackson, I mean, these guys 6'5". You're seeing now some teams go, everybody's got to be 6 foot and under, it seems like, with the Patriots, and then you get these other teams that everybody, the Carolina wide receivers, James, when I was in Denver and you're around Funchess, Kelvin Benjamin's back, Olsen.
Those are big boys.
Oh, my God.
But, that's the great thing about the NFL. One size doesn't fit all. You take your top 5 receivers, and if you put them all together, you go, none of them look the same. You take Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Dez Bryant, maybe A.J. Green, throwing somebody else who's, I'm leaving off the list, and you go, no two have the same body type, but they accomplish the same things.
Sunday night, you've got Vikings-Packers. Did you see enough? Do you think the Vikings saw enough with Sean Hill that Sean Hill will get the start against Green Bay?
Boy, that's a tough one. When you pay a big price for a new toy, you want to use it. So you've a first-round pick and at least a fourth-round pick in the following year for Sam Bradford. Viking fans are going to be clamoring for the new guy. And that may be the last time they clamor for him.
James, good to talk to you. Safe travels, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
All right, James Lofton, Westwood One NFL analyst.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.